In this edition of Frequently Asked Questions with DK Custom Products, it's Kevin and Natalie, and we're going to be addressing external breather systems, sometimes just referred to as breather systems, or EBS. I'm going to talk first about why an external breather system is needed or preferred on the bike. An external breather system, instead of putting the hot, oily, nasty air that comes out of the engine back into the intake and into the combustion chamber, it vents it to the outside atmosphere. And the reason why it is beneficial to do that, venting it to the atmosphere, is because if it goes into the throttle body or the carburetor, it can gum up the carburetor, can gum up the sensors in the throttle body, and importantly, it is hot air, it is oxygen depleted air, and it is oil and condensation going into your combustion chamber. In the combustion chamber, to get the most power, to get the best miles per gallon, you want cool, fresh air mixed with gasoline. When you introduce that oil, that condensation, that hot air, you're doing everything against producing power. And then the whole thing about air, it's not the air that is important in the combustion chamber, it's the oxygen in the air that burns.
Right.
The air is not the important thing, it's the oxygen in the air. But if you put oxygen depleted air in it, the very thing that you want to put in there, oxygen, has been taken out. And so for power, it's much better to not have any of that nasty oxygen depleted air going into the intake. So when you have an external breather system, a lot of them have catch cans where it catches the stuff that would have been going into the combustion chamber. It routes it out of the combustion chamber into a can that you can then empty. This is the kind of stuff that would be going into your engine if you didn't have an external breather system. Now, these external breather systems work in conjunction with an air cleaner. All DK Custom Products air cleaners come with your choice of external breather system. And a lot of times you have a choice. Most times you have a choice of which external breather system you want with your DK air cleaner. But then there's people who have air cleaners that they've purchased not from DK, that they want to put an external breather system on.
Right.
You're the one who deals with answering all those questions. Which one should I get?
I am.
So
I am that person. And another thing to note is, you know, people sometimes aren't familiar with the external breather systems, and they do ask why I need one. You just covered that beautifully. Another thing to add would be engines like cool air, whereas what's coming out of those heads back into the intake or the carburetor is hot. It's hot air. And so when you get an external breather system, not only are you elongating the life of your engine by making it cleaner, you're also boosting your performance.
right, because everybody knows if you ride in cold weather, your engine runs stronger.
Exactly.
And it's because of the one of the reasons is because of the cool air going into the intake. So you want to avoid that hot air. And we have a whole sheet that the link is down below on showing all the nasty stuff that happens to your engine and what the benefits are. But the big question is, which external breather system should I get with my DK air cleaner or with my XYZ air cleaner?
I'm going to start with the twin cam and M8. If you have a DK air cleaner, you pretty much have your choice of whichever breather system you want, with the exception of the M8s cannot use what we call the stealth breather system. It just won't fit. And also with twin cams, especially the twin cams with hotter cams or higher compression rates, we don't necessarily recommend the breather bolts because you could have a lot of what we call blow-by coming out of the breather bolts and getting on the side of your bike, and nobody likes that. So for those bikes, we recommend either a hose and filter or a hose and catch can setup. Now, if you don't have one of DK's air cleaners, we still have a breather system for you. If you're using your stock breather bolts or breather bolts with a nipple on the end of them, then you just need to decide if you want a hose and filter or hose and catch can, because we have kits for those. And then if you have an air cleaner that does not use those bolts, it has either a two-piece support plate and back plate, or the support bracket, which is where those bolts go into the heads, is an 1/8 of an inch thick or less. You can use any of the breather systems there again. Where most of the questions come in is when you have a one-piece support bracket and back plate, similar to this. Doesn't have to be exactly like this. These are what we call standoffs, okay? This is where it goes to the heads. If this piece is an 1/8 of an inch thick or less, you can use any breather system. But if this piece is thicker than that, a lot like this, then you have to use one of our DIY systems.
So you're saying where the back plate and the part that bolts up to the heads is one piece?
Yes.
All one piece, and the standoff is thick?
Correct.
You got to use a DIY.
You have to use a DIY. And with the DIY, it sounds a little scary, but it's very simple. And we do have pictures on our website that show you step by step how this is done as well. But all you do is you drill and tap these standoffs, screw in these barbs, and attach the hoses to it. And then you have an external breather system.
I think we even have a video. I know we have a step-by-step instruction
Yes.
with pictures. I think there is a video on our YouTube channel and probably in our technical support.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a lot of questions about which external breather system I should run with my air cleaner.
Loads and loads. So I just went over the twin cam and M8. Now we're going to go over the Sportsters. Now I do have charts that you can see at the link below for both of these. So you don't have to.
They're on the website.
They are on the website as well, under our reports page, where you can see all of this information that we're giving you now.
Okay.
But if you have a Sportster or an Evo, then there's a chart that shows different setups and which one you want to choose and all of that. Now, if you're using, again, the stock breather bolts or bolt with a nipple head on the end of it, then you'd want to choose a discrete breather system. And what that is hoses that you attach to those bolts. And then you can either choose a filter or a catch can. And then you have aftermarket air cleaners. Now with Sportsters and Big Twin Evos, you have a little bit more options. And the only reason I say that is because on those styles, our breather bolts come in different sizes.
All right.
You can either get the 3/4 of an inch, the 1 3/8, or the 2 inch.
breather bolts.
breather bolts.
Where there's no hoses, there's no catch cans, it's all...
Right, and these give a really, really clean look. Now, some, especially older Sportsters, do have that problem of having just a little bit too much blow-by, and they don't like running the breather bolts. So we have separate hose and filter styles for those as well. Now, on some Sportsters, you do have the back plates that look like this. And once again, on those, depending on how thick these are, maybe the 2-inch would fit, but if not, you have to go to that DIY system. That's going to be the only way to do that. Now, it's important to note that no matter which breather system you get, on some bikes, it does require modification. On some of them, you have to put holes in the back plate to run the hoses through. A lot of times, I always refer to Sporties because that's what I've got. So a lot of times on the Sportsters, whenever you're modifying your stock air cleaner, a lot of people take some of that plastic away anyways.
Right.
So if you're using your stock air cleaner and you get the discrete breather system, you either just take away some of that plastic, or if you already have, you run the hoses through those holes. And that's how you achieve a nice clean look on a breather system.
So can I ask you about catch cans?
Mm-hmm.
We've been selling catch cans for several years now. And about 5 or 6 months ago, we introduced a new 4-stage catch can.
Yes.
So before, when we were selling those other catch cans, we had very, very many happy customers, but we had some customers where the catch can was not keeping all of the oil in the catch can. And now we have the 4-stage that we designed specifically for. In fact, there's a YouTube where we did a balloon test with breathers. So if you want to see something sort of funny, that's when we were testing how much volume of this hot, oily air that different engines put out at different throttle settings. And that was all done as part of our research for developing our 4-stage catch can. But the question for you is, has there been a difference in customers' experience that you're hearing from people calling and writing in using the old catch can versus the 4-stage catch can?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. On the older catch can, something that we recommended was to put a little piece of shop towel at the bottom of the catch can to kind of help absorb everything, just because, like you said, it didn't hold as well as the new catch can. And our newly designed 4-stage catch can, I haven't had a single customer call and complain about that.
So we're not getting reports of any oil coming out the little breather holes on the top of the catch can.
No.
I hadn't got one. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I haven't had a single one. And another question I get asked is, with the filter, is it cleanable?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's super easy. You put some, whenever you wash your bike, you just put some Dawn dish detergent on it and wash it out as you're washing your bike. You don't even have to.
You're talking about the filter.
Yeah,
the filter element.
Yeah, the filter element. You don't even have to take it apart. And a lot of people ask which one's better, the filter or the catch can. Well, it's not that one's better than the other. It's just, what are you wanting to do? Do you want to catch all of it in a catch can and then clean out the catch can as needed? Or do you want to put it in a filter and spray off the filter when you wash your bike? It's a matter of which one is best for your current situation.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get the catch cans.
They do.
For 2 reasons. One is they want to see what's coming out of the breather system. The other is they look good.
Oh, yeah.
So you can put them on display, whether it's a polished one or a black one. They look good.
They do. They definitely look better, in my opinion, than the filter. But once again, with that looking better, there's just that little bit extra one step that you have to take
to clean it
to
out
clean
the
it
inside.
out.
What I do on my Sporty, I have the filter all the way back on the swing arm, zip tied to the swing arm. I've had the same filter on there for probably 7 years. I just hose it off whenever I'm washing the bike, which isn't too often, and that's what I have on there. Now on my Softail, I run a filter and a catch can. I'm currently running a catch can, and I have that bike sort of chromed out, and I took the raw machined catch can and polished it up, and I'll probably keep it on there for looks.
Right.
On my Tri-Glide, I have the filter underneath the right side rider's floorboard, where you got to get down on your hands and knees to even see it. There's absolutely no reason to have a catch can. I'm not curious. I already know. I've seen what comes out of 1,000 bikes.
Right.
And so I just run a filter down there.
And that's what a lot of people, that's what I tell a lot of people. If you're going to have this somewhere to where people can see it, the catch can does give a little bit of a cleaner look. But if you're going to route this somewhere that is not visible easily, then the filter is fine.
Right. Sometimes, I know you've probably gotten this question, I know I've gotten it when I answer stuff on the forums, is that you should have a filter on the end of the hose from the external breather system so that dirty air doesn't get sucked back up into your engine.
Right.
That doesn't happen. The breather systems do not suck air back up in. If perchance your umbrella valves were totally malfunctioning, maybe a little bit of air might get tempted to go back up in there, but if you have 2 or 3 foot of hose, it's not going to make it back up in there. Again, if you look at the video where we did the breather system testing using the balloons, which is in the link below in the description, you can see where we had it running at an idle, revved it up, decelerated. At no point did it suck air. Air does not get sucked back up into the breather system. That's not the reason the filter is there. It's there to absorb the oil that's coming out so it doesn't drip on the floor.